Hey there friends, let's continue our discussion with layout tools. So here in this slide you see over on the left hand side two variations of marking gauges. The one on the top is the English style marking gauge, and that is makes the mark with a pen or a brad through the beam and just scribes a line as you press it against the face, the reference surface. The one down below that actually has a knife blade, a small knife blade inserted in the beam, and that cuts the fibers rather than just scoring them with the point of the brad. There in the left or right hand side, bottom right hand side, we see two variations of tri-square, one being made completely out of wood, wooden base and arm. The other one has the metal arm with a wooden base, and sometimes that wooden base is reinforced with brass. Up in the top right hand corner, we see a couple of variations of calipers, and those are for measuring inside diameters or outside diameters, usually of spheres. And then in the very top right hand corner we see the compass, which of course is used to scribe out a circle. Moving on, we have the wooden bevel. Now this looks very similar to our bevel square that we have today, except this one is made entirely out of wood. Now there in the middle we have the miter bevel or set bevel. This is not a tool typically in use now because we have the combination square, which will really do the work of both the tri-square and the set bevel. Up at the top you see the folding ruler, and that of course has fallen out of favor, has been replaced with the standard tape measure. Then down at the bottom right hand corner we have a pair of winding sticks, and I'm not sure I would have included this as a layout tool, but it is used to help make sure that we have completely flat. So if you look at the tools now that we might have in today's shop, you'll see they look very similar to the tools that were listed in the book by Otto Saloman. First we have the marking gauge, and this is one that I got out of my tool haul, and this is a mortising gauge. So on one side it has a double set of pins for making the width of the mortise. On the other side is just a single pin for scribing a single line. Now next is the more modern version of this, and this one of course has the carbide cutter wheel, has the brass fence, if you will, just on a metal rod. I actually like this better than the traditional marking square. I find that the modern one is a little bit easier to use, but of course the old one is just a joy. So now we look at some of our compasses and calipers. These again came out of a tool haul. These I'm not sure how old they are. There's a lot of rust on them and dirt. They have to be cleaned up, but they are very well made. They feel very solid. The springs are still in really good shape. Now this one came out of a discount tool house package. There's multiple tools in there. Completely functional. It does feel a little flimsier than the old one. And this is a case where the old is probably better than the new, but even the new one is certainly functional. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, moving on, of course, we have the tape measure. Tape measure has replaced the folding rule. You'll find various sizes. I typically have 16 footers, but certainly going smaller there sometimes. The rule itself, the stainless steel ruler, I find this to be more useful on the bench than the tape measure. Not only do I get a straight edge, but it gives very accurate markings, a little bit flexible, but that's certainly not a problem either. All right, next up we have the bevel square. Again, this looks very similar to the wooden one that we saw in the book. But this one is a sliding bevel, allows you to get various angles, set that, various depths. This was just a cheap one I got out of the big box store, but find that to be very useful around the shop and on the bench. All right, the combination square has really replaced, at least for me, the tri-square and the miter bevel. that we saw in the book. So we get two tools in one. So we have the 45-degree angle there. We have the right angle. I use this little one and find it very useful. The Carpenter Speed Square is another one that gets a lot of use in my shop. Not so much for fine woodworking, but for a little bit rougher stuff. Very, very useful, very inexpensive. Certainly should be in any tool shop or tool bench.